we're going to talk about content creation, social media, and mental health because, whoa, what a topic. So last year, or I'm just trying to think, in 2024 and 2025, I was doing some contract work for some people, and I was really struggling with the idea of being a content creator and working for them, and straddling those worlds of some of the things I've talked about on the podcast, some of the people I've talked to on the podcast and their own reputation, posting on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. And when you Google me, there's a lot of different places that I show up. And so it brought up my stuff around being seen, because I was taking my career and my business in lots of different avenues. And sometimes in the past, when I had created content, I was creating from a place of my own business and just me, and not really thinking about all of that. And then one of my Gen Z co-workers was amazing, and she was just saying, it reminded me about your personal brand, which sits above everything. Your career comes down from your personal brand. Your business might come from your personal brand. Any opportunities in the future around writing or media, because I love doing media work and writing in publications, all come from your personal brand, and no one can take that from you. And that is who you are, so why not? You know, she really reminded me how replaceable I am, how replaceable work is, and that I should always put myself first. And that was really powerful. So today's episode, we're going to talk about the ups and downs of content creation, being seen, all of that, social media in general, because even if you're not a content creator, just using social media and LinkedIn and all of those things, we're going to talk about that in conjunction with mental health. So welcome back to Burnout to Brilliance. Let's get into it.
I'm Australia's leading burnout therapist, Sheena Shuey. I'm Australia's leading burnout therapist, Sheena Shuey, live from
Anxiety is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens for you.
Sheena, it is so nice to have you. I'm going to get straight to the point. What does burnout mean?
Oh, that is a really big question.
So today we're going to talk about social media, mental health, content creation, because I have worked and done therapy and coaching with lots of women from lots of different industries, and a lot of them do content creation, whether that's TikTok, whether that's YouTube, whether they're podcasters, whether it's Instagram, whether it's ad creation, whether it's, again, LinkedIn ads, or, you know, even if they're content creators for other people, it absolutely takes its toll. There's so much that goes into it. And the tricky part is, for some people, it's like a reflection of who they are. And so even if you're someone who does not use social media for your business or for your career, I do want you to think about that, because like I just said, your personal brand and your Google ability, what comes up on Google, is going to help you regardless of what job you have, what business you do. If people want to connect with you, like, really think about your long-term goals. But even if you don't use social media for business or corporate, even social media on a personal level massively impacts mental health. And so we all know this. We all know that everyone is trying to create a narrative, a marketing image, a perception on social media. But we all know this. But we all still get caught in the habit of comparison, in the habit of comparing ourselves to others, lives to others. And one of the things that comes up a lot in therapy when I'm working with women one-on-one, that's been a theme, is comparison on business. And I really want you to remember, someone's success you cannot tell on social media. Absolutely not. I know thriving business owners whose businesses don't even have a website, barely have social media, doing so well. I know businesses who are in the red and failing, but on their socials, you would absolutely think that they're thriving and they're growing, and look at all their new staff members. And I'm telling you, the story behind the scenes is very different. As well as, I have met business coaches who really shame a lot of business owners around content creation. Like, if you don't post every day, you don't give a shit about your business, or you need to create hooks like this, or you need to use these words. And then people finally do all of those things, or they get given ChatGPT, prompts, and they use those prompts. And now there's definitely a culture of calling out people who use ChatGPT to help their content. So it's really interesting. You can't win if you use it. You can't win if you don't use it. People are saying, oh, short form content is too much. People are going to long form content. So podcasts, YouTube, that kind of thing. The video editing, the quality, what you're saying, you need to have an analogy. You need to bring it back to story. Here's a story format. Like, it is so much. I intentionally paused and created calm for a minute there, because it's content creation absolutely plays on people's mental health, because people put a lot of effort into creating this content, thinking about the content, then, people putting so much effort into creation and getting hardly any sales or likes from it, or getting sales and likes and then posting again and not getting it, and the ups and downs of content creation and sales and marketing and ads, or even on a personal level, the constant stream of people posting political things or news things. I'm really big on, when my anxiety isn't good, or if I'm in a space where I can just feel I need a break, I very much turn away from the news, and generally I do. And yet, even on social media, I might be using TikTok of all places, and I still find that the news finds me there. And so I really want to remind all of you, if you're a content creator, even if you just use social media personally, when was the last time you had a break from it? And have you ever had a break? Because sometimes when I've asked people that question, I still get shocked by it, because I intentionally have breaks, but it is very common to have never had a social media break. I have to remind myself of that, because being a mental health advocate and specialist and clinician, it's something we talk about. So when was the last time you gave yourself a break? Whether it's not posting at all, whether it's deleting the apps, I want you to, at least in the next few weeks, if you haven't ever done it, delete your social media for a weekend. You don't have to delete the profile. Everything's still there, but just delete the apps off your phone and see what comes up for you. And notice what comes up, because I'm telling you, a few things are going to happen. One, a bit of a dopamine up and crash, where you'll notice your thumb will want to scroll, your thumb will want to move, you'll feel more fidgety. It's almost like when a smoker is giving up smoking and they're like, oh, I just need something in my mouth. So they chew gum or drink more water or have like chewy things in their mouth to give them a sensation of doing something. You might need a fidget toy, something to keep your hands active, or drawing, artwork, it's something to move with your hands. So when you first delete this, and I'm saying a weekend, but my ideal for you would actually be a week or even a month if you're brave enough to do this. And I recognize for some people, it really is part of their business structure, but also asking yourself, how can I create a business funnel that doesn't rely on me being active on social media? Can I have ads to long form content, pre-recorded content, all of those sorts of things? So it brings up a lot of how can I run my business or run my life without social. So I'm saying give yourself a weekend because I know that's an easy starting point for a lot of people. But when I'm talking you through this, I want you to think about, could I do this for 7 days, 2 weeks, 30 days, like a whole month? Because you will not recognize yourself at the end of 30 days and you'll recognize how big this is. So first thing, you're going to be fidgety. Notice that you're going to be fidgety and that you'll need something to replace that feeling with. So having fidget toys, artwork, something to work on with your hands will be really helpful. So there's that. There will be a dopamine crash. So you may feel more tired or the opposite, more alert, more antsy in the first few days because you really are turning off all the notifications that give you dopamine, letting go of short form content that's giving you dopamine. Like it's going to be a recalibration for your brain and your body and a shock. So recognize that there will be some of that and you'll feel antsy in the first few days. Like that doesn't mean it's not good for you. It just means your body and your brain are like, what is going on here? So be mindful of that. The other thing that will happen is you'll feel weird doing things longer and you're going to feel like something's missing because something genuinely is missing. This daily habit you have that could be something you do for hours a day is missing. So again, having activities you can replace with of art activities, reading, walking, long form content. Go back to watching longer. YouTube is a different one, not YouTube shorts, we're not having that, but like long videos, Netflix. Like notice what happens when you watch something long or listen to a podcast or watch something that's a little bit longer and it's not so sort of stimulating and in your face and how you feel. Also, notice how you feel not doing this. So a really helpful exercise before you try and quit social media is notice on a scale of 1 to 10. Like really just check in with yourself before you use your phone, before you're kind of sitting down of a session of Instagram or TikTok or all of that, like after work, sitting on the couch, you're about to kind of go into a social media bubble. Just ask yourself how you feel or notice how you feel. Then notice how you feel after you've spent a couple of hours on socials. About different areas. How do you feel about work? How do you feel about life? How do you feel about parenting? Because it will be mixed. So sometimes I find, even for me personally, I feel better about parenting after social media sometimes because I appreciate the memes and the jokes and the validation of other parents online. I do often find I don't feel great about content creation because there's just so much pressure to create short form content that grabs people's attention and has a really strong hook and has lots of different props and lots of different things to get your visual attention. And I hate all of that stuff. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like human beings connecting. It feels like an attention grabbing machine, and I do not like buying into that. Or I do feel worse because I see that people who've done some 6-week life coaching course thing online put some really inspirational quote and it gets millions of likes and shares. And then really amazing therapists or nutritionists or physiotherapists, people who've gone to university, who've done a lot of training, specialization, worked with real clients, have real experience, post something that I would consider just as inspirational or mind-blowing. Crickets. And again, that it's not about validation through likes and shares. Again, I know there's so many people who have thriving, successful, beautiful lives without any of that. And it's not masking anything, but it is frustrating. And I find that part of social media and content creation frustrates me, that so many amazing intellectual people aren't getting their roses. Whereas the very basic content does, or people steal other ideas or literally copy each other's content. So I want you to do that for yourself, of noticing, how do I feel before and after social media and different platforms? So again, personally for me, I usually enjoy TikTok more than the other platforms because I find it interesting or fun or discussion points and less selling. Instagram does not make me feel good. I don't know why. It used to make me feel wonderful, and my personal Instagram still does to some extent, but my business one doesn't so much. So I go on there to support my friends and family who are in business and other business owners, and just to have a little scroll, and of course post my own content, but I find that it's not enjoyable for me. So I'm curious, if you're listening, what do you find with it as well? I don't know one person who likes LinkedIn. Do you? Because what a shit show that platform is, of the performative and really fake content of my cat died on the weekend and here's 7 strategies it taught me about synergy. Like, that is the kind of content I find on LinkedIn, and it's yuck. And it's also the place to go, I just went to this awards, I went to this networking event, here's the highlights and what I learned. And it feels like just this place to show off your achievements and connections, and that's a resume. Like, that's important. You need a presence there, because a lot of people will Google you to see what you do, or it almost acts as like, again, when people Google you after a job interview or things like that, like, connections matter. So it's frustrating. It's such a yucky place, but it's something that's almost needed, particularly depending on industry. Some industries are really strong on LinkedIn and others aren't. So I guess what I'm getting to you is, content creation is a whole job, and it plays a lot on your mindset and your mental health. Social media generally affects your mental health, whether you're trying to avoid the news, whether you're comparing to people, whether it's just being on those platforms and seeing like the showboating and like the showing off stuff. And your mental health matters. And I can guarantee you, if you give yourself a social media break for 24 hours, for a weekend, for a week, for a month, you will see yourself come back to what it means to be a human being. Come back to what it means to live life before all of this stuff, before the overstimulation, before the comparisonitis, before all of that, to this level. Because they've always been a little bit there, but to this level, I just want you to go back to what it feels like to remind yourself what life is like without that, even for a brief moment, and just regulate yourself. And then hopefully, I find every time I quit social media and come back to it, I use it in a healthier way, a more functional way, a way that sits better with me, and generally for less time. If I'm getting into bad habits where I'm on it for a few hours a day, when I delete it and come back to it, it might be half an hour to begin with until it creeps in again. and then I quit again for another week or a weekend or whatever. Again, not quit, just delete. So I want to give you permission to delete, a permission to check in how it all makes you feel, and permission to go, I don't need this. How can I build a career, a business, a resume in the minimal time required of socials and in a more strategic and smart way? Because I am telling you, I know industries that make a lot of money without socials. Like, for example, car washes, laundromats, some of the most successful business, pipelines, plumbing supplies. So many of them, much needed industries, really don't rely on socials all that much, which is incredible. So remember that if you're ever overwhelmed by it or business, just know that there are business and strategies and ways to grow and thrive without it. But you have to be strategic too. And ways to build your resume, your personal brand, with and without it, or in a way that minimally needs you. So think of all of that and put your mental health first above anything else. The content, the sales, the marketing can all wait if you're overstimulated and crashing out and burning out. All right, beautiful people, beautiful soul listening to this. You have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next episode of Burnout to Brilliance.